What is up, everyone? Volathis here, and this is the final FanFest 2016 vlog. This is the final day of the event and everything. So the other thing I wanted to talk about that I neglected to mention in the previous vlog is that the first day they were handing out these Hildebrand books here. There was a case, and part of the event is you handed in basically either your event or your badge, and they basically gave you this book. You would walk around and did these sort of things, and this provided some extra rewards. They gave you triple triad cards. I don't remember which ones I got in order, but they gave us Menphilia. Might help if you guys can see it better. Estinian, of course, Hildebrand and his partner, and her Shofat. Apparently I can't pronounce it here. May he rest in peace. There was a bonus one. I didn't complete that in this booklet. Other than that, I completed the rest of it. Basically, you went around, you could do events. And then for the first one, after getting these events, we got these lovely goggles here that in the booklet help you see for one of the puzzles as well. There was other things, and they had some bonus things. It also had another section for autographs in the book. I was able to complete most of it that day, like I said, except for the bonus. I didn't do that. And when you completed the Hildebrand book, it came with this little letter here. I haven't read it yet, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and read this. To all of my adventuring assistants in whom wisdom and insight flows abundant, I, Hildebrand, Agent of Inquiry, Inspector Extraordinaire, do hereby extend to you my deepest thanks for your invaluable contributions toward resolving this most perplexing conundrum. Doubtless, I would have reached the same conclusion on my own in due time, but the alacrity with which are identified those dastardly Mughals as the culprits owes much to your passion and zeal for the truth. Indeed, there were moments when I felt it might rival my own, but alas, your true calling remains adventuring, as we all know too well. A pity. I dare say each and every one of you has what it takes to become an inspector extraordinaire in your own right. For now, however, a mere appellation shall have to suffice. Henceforth, let it be known to all and sundry that in recognition for your outstanding achievement in the field of inquiries, you and yours are hereby named honorary inspectors. Bear this title with pride, good sires and ladies, for you have earned it. And with that, I bid a forth and enjoy the remainder of the festivities till our paths cross again. Hildebrand, Heldor, Maximilian, Manderville. The other thing, besides the events I'll go into detail to, that I'm definitely going to be talking about is merch and my final rating for the event overall, and whether I'm going to be going again. So it started again with an opening, just saying welcome everyone, doors opened at 10. Same fiasco again, don't line up in the halls, don't crowd it, etc., etc. And then it started the day with the lore with Koji. A lot of the lore was talking about the Eorzea encyclopedia that just got released, which actually sold out at the event, and was talking about the differences between the English and the Japanese. For one thing, Koji mentioned that the English version does not have a Square Enix logo on it at all. It can pretty much pass for a normal book, nothing out of the ordinary. It would be like a very ancient tome or something if you came across it. The other thing, it's formatted a little bit different than Japanese. They're not really different in facts. Basically, as an example was, it would be like race and all that in Japan, and it would be listed, versus in America, it was in there and was simply just scattered within the paragraphs. You just had to read it, and there was a quote involved in that. The English also apparently has some typos in it because they had to publish it quicker than the Japanese, so we're going to experience a little bit of that and that. Talked about the process. A lot of people reviewed this book, and it went through multiple people, multiple designs on it and everything. And Koji also talked about one of the co-workers, I believe, that works in the lore. I can't remember his name, but talked about how he helps out in designing the lore in this. One of the things was mentioned, he has a giant library, and the main thing, basically the book that helps inspire is basically a mythological book. It has a lot of monsters and stuff like that, and that helps design into the lore and everything like that. That was the main part about the lore. They didn't talk about, obviously, the same stuff they talked about last year. The main emphasis really was on the lore book itself. So a lot of it was emphasized on that, saying that a lot of the stuff in you cannot find in game or hasn't been revealed, and just general facts. This is going to be an encyclopedia, like it says. Next after that was the PvP expedition. Not expedition. It was just PvP. I don't know if you had to enter in the contest. I wasn't involved in that. I watched some of the PvP. I don't really PvP at all anymore in the game. I might, do it on the side. I don't think I'm going to be getting in the top 100 anytime soon. But it would be nice something to do on the side. So they did the feast, of course. So I watched a little bit of that. I actually haven't played the feast yet. So it was nice to see firsthand look of that. They basically had a tournament. I watched some of the groups up there. And the next thing after that was we had the letter from the producer live. A majority of it was just rehashing what's had been going on the event, because like they said, this was going to be free and public, so they wanted to rehash a lot of things like the Eggies. I didn't talk really a whole lot about the Stormblood, and all the facts had already been stated. The other thing is a few extra things they talked about the next event, the All Saints Wake event. Basically it's kind of like a vampire outfit or like a count. They said they only did the top this time. The bottom half they showed was in-game items, so we can customize them the way we want. The other thing was a chair. It reminded me a lot of the chair from the current boss in the hard library. Hard mode library. I think it's Grubel library. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. That mount apparently is linked to the event. And then the other thing they talked about was with the apartments, people wanted a balcony where they could say hi to people and stuff like that. Basically, they said, they also mentioned furnishings. They're working on updating that as well. But they were talking about making a balcony so you could say hi to people that are walking by. They said currently that isn't, actually I think they said it was currently it's not possible at all. Apartments versus wards are stored on completely different servers. They're saying if you want to add a window and you could look out it, that's fine, but the likelihood of you seeing someone isn't going to happen. They can make the balcony too, but waving to someone that's walking by is just not going to happen. And then the other thing is people, and for squads, they wanted us to someone asked if they wanted to personalize it. Basically talking to your squad members like a conversation. They said, the text involved in that and the resources was not possible. They are thinking there's a lot of development for squads they're working on already, and they said maybe in the future they'll consider it, but they're probably going to be doing this, trickling in a little bit at a time. They basically said the text involved in that is pretty much the whole text of a patch. So it's something, a lot of what we've been hearing is really, they're considering a lot of what we're throwing at them, but right now in those categories they already have things in place, and they will be added on later, but they want to work on the other things. A lot of this is the expansions around the corner, so obviously they want to get those things working before they get up to our ideas. There is going to be a Curin 2.0 for the bird mounts. They said our hint is not Phoenix, so I guess not Phoenix, unless the hint was sarcasm. We'll find out. I think they said in patch 3.5. Pretty sure I also heard the phrase, please look forward to it. And then they also talked about in Koji, the Wolves Den, it says it's a dueling circle, but it is a square. Basically that was, Yoshipi's like, this is Koji's fault. He just looked at Koji like, why don't you tell them? And basically, Koji said, in lore, like, think of Romans, how they would make a circle would be like a dueling circle. So that was kind of like a lore thing that happened there, and said, at one point he said, he's like, well, we have a round circle in the gold saucer, why can't we have a circle square? And the question was like, why is it a circle, even though it's a square? And basically, they just focused on that and said, well, thanks to Koji, now it's going to be a circle. And Koji's like, oh, great, I gave the developers more work. So that's going to be happening. Like I said, a lot of it was just a rehash. They mentioned the Aggies and stuff like that. The other thing I forgot to mention was the discussion of deep dungeons, since that's going to be coming in 3.45. We were told, you know, this is going to be very challenging for 4-man content. There's going to be a leaderboards not only for your class, but your parties. So there's a actual ranking system, and you can filter it, and your group can be in it. And there's a lot of I think the main factor is just, you know, how far you're doing and how fast. They said, you know, there's going to be a certain point. It basically looked like an open area. And, it doesn't even look like you're in a dungeon anymore to some of the slides they got. The first, you know, few ones, there were some new floors. They looked quite interesting. Looked like a lot of cave designs. But these areas, once they got to a certain point, the difficulty in the rooms are going to increase the further you go down. But at a certain point, it basically looks, like I said, it looks like you're not even in a dungeon anymore. Basically looks like you're outside. And I believe that's after the 100th floor, or maybe we were told this was after the 150th floor, that the difficulty is going to increase a lot. And we got a teaser of the final boss. I'm not sure what it's from. The main thing we were told was think of Final Fantasy Tactics. I can't remember what version. And I believe Final Fantasy 12 was another thing that was hinted at. And there was one final screenshot that basically looked like a floating island. There was a bench. And he said, you know, players are going to want to sit down on this bench. And didn't really mention he said, I think the phrase was, you know, take some screenshots or something of that nature. And then after that, the last thing was the Primal Concert. I think, first off, it was a fantastic way to end. I loved it. If someone showed up at the convention, they would not have thought, in my opinion, this would have been a video game convention. The only hint they would have got is when the screens displayed, you know, like the video game itself. It was fantastic. They did songs like Leviathan, Sephiroth, which I haven't done. Actually played Sephiroth twice. And they did the finale with one of the Alexander songs. It was amazing. This was being, you know, my first year. I thought it was just amazing for the Primal Concert. I think it was a great way to end it. And then, of course, they came up, brought the whole team, said thank you, and basically said it's all because of you guys. This is possible. Koji said this is the best convention ever. And, yeah, it pretty much ended right there. So the other thing I have to talk about, of course, is the merch at this point. I don't know if I said it already. I didn't get any merch at all. Basically, like I said, in the first day, the line was so long, they cut off sales. And then earlier in that day, I saw on Twitter that they said there was already a line for the merch. I'm like, but we can't even line up. Apparently, some people had gotten tickets the night before, as well as people were getting timestamps to come back. I still tried anyways to get in line for the second day. Basically got turned around and said the people that are only going to get served today are tickets and timestamps. And after that point, they're probably not going to... There was a lot of arguing from people, and they basically said there may be a chance, the likelihood of that they will serve other people that didn't get tickets or timestamps, because apparently there was a lot of miscommunication there, and basically said the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. So I just kind of gave up for the day. So the way this was handled, I'm not exactly happy about that, considering, I mean, there's exclusives, and because of that, I'm never really going to get those exclusives. But I'm not the only one this happened to. This happened to a lot of people. The actual amount, I have no idea. I also heard the merch wasn't much better last year. It's a little disappointing to hear. But these things happen. I mean, ideally, of course, when you do exclusives like this, there's going to be a lot of it, and people are going to want things. The merch I was looking at probably altogether was probably going to be in the 300s, and it's almost $100 easy with just exclusive merch alone. So it was very up there. Now, the main thing involved in this, I think that in the future this hopefully will be handled better. If for some reason they get a hold of this video and they see it, my I guess advice, it's a little hard for me to say. I don't work for Square Enix, I don't work for FanFest or anything. I guess the phrase, maybe not advice, is my idea, is maybe next year set up, because we even got a website dedicated to FanFest and they show the items that are listed there. Perhaps what could be done is maybe for those that buy the tickets and go there, perhaps they could get a special code or a special link that gives them access to the merchandise before the event, can place an order online, and maybe they get an order number or a code that, you know, all they have to do for the merch on when this event goes live is go, here's what I ordered. The other advantage I think of doing that though too is after so many orders of certain things, you can cut them off. Just cut them off on the website. That way they know, they don't wait in line. You know, set a limit. Obviously they did set a limit at the convention, but I mean for like the exclusive and stuff, set a limit. Once you've hit your limit or your sales, cut it off on the website, say you can't get that, or say, you know, we're capped on our merchandise, we've sold everything, etc., something of that nature. I think that might help in a way, just because if they can get those orders done, they can announce earlier that they can't sell anymore. That's what I think. You can get the other idea behind that too. If you do give them the code, like I'm not saying like maybe a couple days before the event, maybe even a week. So you can, you know, be like, okay, we've sold this much merch, we need to bring this much merch, and maybe some extra if they want to do in-person sales too. But I think the idea here is for the merch, we need earlier access to the merchandise for these, hopefully to avoid these problems. Just like, obviously a lot of the people lining up ahead of time and stuff, they wanted to get in the merch line, like maybe even open the merch earlier or something like that. I'm not too sure. That's what I think should have done. That doesn't mean I'm right. That's my idea. It's just an idea. It only works if it's applied, and I don't work for that company, so I can't apply. That's what I thought. Now the next thing, of course, is my final rating of the event. My final rating of this event, I put about 7 out of 10. A lot of what dragged it down was just simply the merch, just the way it was handled and everything. That didn't ruin the event for me. That's still over 50%. I'm still going to go next time, regardless of my experiences. This was my first time to the convention. I didn't go to the first one, so I don't have a comparison. I still enjoyed it. And, you know, there's a lot of variety there. Like I said, if you plan this right, you can still have free time there. A lot of that free time I honestly could have used that for is to get signatures. The only signature I actually grabbed was Mr. Happy's signature. I didn't get Koji or Yoshi or anything like that. So, I mean, there's plenty of things to do. A lot of my free time, you know, I went kind of back to the hotel if it was a long time. I could have tried the other things. I didn't do the trial roulette because it seemed like when I went there they wanted groups of 8, whereas with the proto I was able to get in with just myself. So I don't know if that was handled differently, or maybe I tried the trial roulette on the last day, so maybe at that point they said you need a group of 8 or no go. I don't know. Maybe I misheard them and they just wanted a group of 8 at the time. So it's still a fun event for me. The other things, they had a server wall, of course, where you could sign, put my name on there. Cactar and Corel was filled. And actually it seemed like, you know, the left half of the wall was just filled, whereas the right one, there was a lot of white space on that. That was another topic that was brought up as possible server merging in the future, or maybe, and one of those steps they said is they're going to be making the Party Finder multi-server. I think they're going to be doing that across the data centers. So let me know in the comments below. for those of you who went, what did you rate this event? Were you able to defeat the merch boss, or were you the ones like myself who couldn't get anything? They did put those sales live for today for some of the items. I pre-ordered what I could. I believe I'm getting some of those things. I do know that at the time of recording this video, not too long after I pre-ordered the lore book, it's sold out. So maybe I'm getting it, maybe I'm not. And just, are you going to go to the next one, even if you went this year, or if you didn't go at all? And comment down below, what did you think of some of these things? I like the triple triad cards. That puts me at 9 cards altogether for that. Everything like that. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new. It's the fastest way to any of my videos. And it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.